Hi, my name is Madison Caruana. I'm here with EWG Mercury, and today we're talking about vaping. I'm going to introduce the panel.
Dawn Seitz, school nurse.
Tyler Lynch, I'm a senior at Exeter West Greenwich High School.
Matthew Peltier, I'm a senior at Exeter West Greenwich High School.
Bob Quindazzi, I'm a history teacher here at the high school.
Sergeant Peter Petracca with the West Greenwich Police Department, and I am on long-term assignment working with the school district.
All right, we have a quick video to show what vaping is.
Matt, thank you very much. Electronic cigarettes and vapors have lawmakers and many people at a standstill on whether to classify those devices as cigarettes. Even though they're marketed as being harmless, people who don't vape have their own concerns.
CBS 7's Deanne Lopez spoke with people in our community to get the thoughts on the growing trend. Deanne?
It appears that almost everywhere you go these days, you're bound to see someone vaping. This growing trend has sparked up some controversy on both sides.
They come in all different sizes, shapes, colors, and flavors. These e-cigarettes and vapors have become a popular hit nationwide. Whether it be for health reasons or for recreational use, the vaping community continues to grow. Vicky DeLayo says she has no problem with people vaping, but feels that by allowing people to do so indoors sends the wrong message to minors.
With kids, teenagers nowadays, they get real tempted with it, and they think it's okay with the hookah, the flavored ones. And of course, when they're public places and they see these people with them, they're going to want to get tempted to want to smoke.
So, does anyone have anything to start off with? The positive and negatives of vaping?
I will start off with school nurse, with some of the negative effects of vaping. With teenagers, their brain is just developing still. And your brain is developing until you're approximately 25 years old. There's an area in your brain called the prefrontal cortex, right here by your forehead. And that is your executive function area where you make good decisions. You're able to reason, impulse control. And what that nicotine does, nicotine's a drug, it actually will change the structure of your brain to or the pathways of your brain, making it so where you may become addicted to nicotine, and that you're not able to make those decisions that you need to make. So it does have a negative effect, whether it's a small dose or a larger dose, it doesn't matter. It still has a negative effect for you. And vaping cigarettes are actually triggered, or the manufacturers target the younger crowd, because 90% of the people who smoke started before they were 21 years old. So the tobacco companies are going to target the younger kids. They have over 7,000 types, or 7,000 different flavors for vaping. So know that you're a target.
I'm going to add on to that. So there are nicotine vaping products, but there also are non-nicotine ones. So basically, the perfect cycle would be you start out with let's say a higher dose of nicotine if you're a legit smoker, cigarette smoker. And then you work your way down lower and lower until you can get to zero nicotine. And then once you're at zero nicotine, there's been no studies that have shown any negative effects on vaping. But I also want to add that if you're an athlete or something along those lines, vaping's never going to be good for you, because you're going to be inhaling stuff that's not supposed to be in your body. That's never good for you.
Can I just say one more thing? The FDA, it's not FDA approved. They don't regulate these devices. So they can say there's no nicotine in them, but the majority of them do have nicotine. And there haven't been enough studies to see the negative or positive effects right now. We're kind of like in the stages where we're their guinea pigs. So later on, we're going to find out all these effects. And there are carcinogens still in the vaping that you're going to be exposed to.
So I don't think anybody would dispute that these e-cigarettes have a very beneficial effect for those who already smoke, and that they are a legitimate way to kick your nicotine habit, or even if you don't kick the nicotine habit, at least to have a less harmful way of having it delivered. However, you do have to recognize that nicotine is like the most highly addictive substance that we know of. Far more highly addictive than heroin or opiates or anything like that. As soon as you start taking nicotine, you become addicted to it. Now, these companies, of course, what is their purpose? Their purpose is to sell these things, and honestly, they don't really care who they sell them to. And just like cigarettes before them, it's like the perfect product, because if you get somebody to start taking it, it's really, really, really difficult to stop.
Very addictive. From a legal perspective, vaping is no different than cigarettes. In fact, in this state, statute 11-9-13.4, if you want to look that up, it's very specific. Vaping is a device that delivers drug, and the drug usually is nicotine. So a lot of juveniles seem to think, well, I'm not smoking, I don't have a cigarette, I'm just vaping, and they think that that is very okay. It is not. It is no different than smoking a pack of cigarettes or smoking a cigarette.
So what do you think is beneficial? Do you think anything is beneficial about it?
I think it's beneficial because as a teenage kid, you're obviously going to want to try out new things, just be a normal teenager. And this e-cigarette is leading kids away from actual cigarette, which is obviously more harmful than the e-cigarette. But it's obviously still not good for you. But there's going to be flaws of it, but it kind of helps out teenagers a little bit. Yeah.
See, I have to disagree, because if you look at the studies, right, back in the 1950s and 60s, most people smoked because of the advertising, and it was fine, it was safe, it was okay, there's no problem with it. Doctors recommend that people smoke. If those commercials exist, you could find them on YouTube. But when they started cracking down on advertising and restricting cigarettes, and people got serious about preventing smoking, the number of people that smoke in the United States now is much, much smaller. It's well under 10%. So now what we have is a situation where we have a new product that can be advertised, okay, that is it as bad as cigarettes? No, of course not. But it is bad, there's no question. Unless, of course, you're a smoker and you're taking them to get rid of the nicotine addiction. But it just entices adolescents to try them, because there's this idea that, well, they're better than cigarettes, or it's okay. And it's not. It's not okay. It will give you a lifelong addiction. All right? And I don't think anybody really starts out saying, I really want to be addicted to something.
And if I just have a small amount, it's not going to hurt me. But that small amount still has a powerful impact on your brain. It initiates the pleasure center of your brain. It acts like a neurotransmitter, and it actually releases dopamine, which gives you a good feeling. So it's the reward system. So that's what triggers in. And even with that small dose, even though you say it's just a little bit, it's not going to hurt anybody, it does make a difference. It does train your brain to be addicted for addiction.
All right, so we're going to have to take a quick break, but we'll talk more about it after that.
You've heard it 1,000 times. Don't text, don't drive. So let me tell you why. You can lose your friends. You can lose your family. But most of all, you can lose yourself.
Okay, so welcome back to EWG Mercury. We're still talking about vaping, and we're going to talk about marketing towards high school students and younger generation. Have you guys seen any marketing?
Sure, there's marketing all over the place. There's no limit on it, and so there are many very sophisticated ads that are, modern advertising is all designed basically by psychologists to, be attractive to certain markets, and it's extraordinarily effective. It works, and therefore we have a lot of young people that are really beginning to, get into the vaping thing, and honestly, that's completely reprehensible. There's no excuse for it, and it shouldn't be allowed. If you're addicted to cigarettes, Get a doctor's prescription, and you can get an e-cigarette. All right. You know, they should ban all advertising for these things, and they should also make. I think they should be prescription only, and have them be subject to strict liability. So if a minor is found with an e-cigarette, that's a fine for the company, no matter how the minor got it, because then they can figure out how to keep minors from having these things. You know, they will tell any lie, they will make up any excuse to be able to sell more of their product. Oh, it's freedom of choice. We're not marketing to kids. It's all lies. All they're concerned about is the money. Bottom line.
You're absolutely right. I mean, they spend like millions, if not billions, on trying to capture the youth, trying to capture you guys to be addictive, because they know if they capture one of you, that's a guaranteed 5 to 10 years worth of business, you know, revenue.
And plus juices, like the coffee juices. There's so many of them.
Absolutely. So, and you're absolutely right.
There's
they do a lot of research. What's that?
There's accessories for them. Like you can get like covers and.
Yeah, absolutely.
So they almost like a fashion thing, right? Right. A status symbol. Like I got my diamond encrusted vaping thing. You know.
Yeah.
Okay.
With so many different flavors, like I had said earlier, over 7,000 flavors. So I know that you know some of those flavors.
Yeah, there's like Swedish fish, all like cotton candy, fruit roll-up, Gushers, all that good candy that you always like to eat on your cheat days.
And all those things are to attract people to try it, and hopefully, from their perspective, hopefully you enjoy it, and you'll do it again, and then you'll do it again.
If you look at what's going on now, right, of course it's I think you pointed out, it's almost like the Wild West early days of this, right? Like it's a new product, so it's not regulated. And as regulations, as the FDA might consider regulations, as Congress might consider regulations, these companies are spending millions of dollars, not just on advertising, but on lobbying to prevent regulations. And, and again, they will make up all sorts of, just like the cigarette companies made up science that said, oh, well, yeah, smoking definitely, it doesn't cause cancer, probably not, doesn't cause cancer. Then eventually, of course, it became clear that it did, and millions of people had died from it. Then they had to pay a settlement, but, they're doing exactly the same thing they did in the United States and other countries now. And, I think it's incumbent upon us as a society to nip this in the bud and prevent the export of this stuff completely. And it's not a good thing. Yes, it's great to stop people from smoking, but that's all it should be used for. People who are currently smoking, you can have this as a prescription in order to help you with your addiction. You should not just be able to sell it openly on the market.
And regulated or not, at the risk of being repetitive, if you're under the age of 18, you can't have it and you can't use it. So it is against the law in the state if you're under the age of 18. As I had said earlier, very similar to regular cigarettes.
And they are looking in legislation right now, they're trying to lobby for a higher age, 21 years old. So they're working on that right now. So you have to be 21 to buy cigarettes or vaping.
Do you think it's still as harmful if it doesn't have nicotine in it?
Well, no.
You can guarantee.
Some liquid.
Yeah, can you guarantee?
I feel like you get what you pay for almost. So basically some of these cheaper websites, because you can buy vaping stuff online, which is another reason why teenagers are getting their hands on it, because they can just click a button saying they're 18 when they're really not. But they can just buy it online, and then it's just over with.
So the more expensive ones are better for you?
Yeah.
I mean, I guess, maybe I'm missing something here, right? So I know they do make some of the stuff without nicotine in it, allegedly, right? But what's the attraction at that point? What's the attraction to the vaping? And I don't. Maybe there is one. I don't know. I mean,
for smokers, I'm guessing just the fact that they're actually being able to almost smoke something and have vapor or smoke come out of their mouth. It's simulating their nerves in their head that they're actually smoking.
So what about for non-smokers? That's good. Good point. Thank you.
For non-smokers, I feel like honestly, some kids just feel like they want to be cool or something, so they just want to be smoking just like the rest of us, but they don't want that harmful effect. So they're just gonna be smoking it, or they're gonna like the flavor of the actual juice. So they're gonna do it for taste almost.
Okay. All right. Thank you for the explanation. All right. So, I mean, that seems like a the benefit to the person doing it doesn't seem worth the risk, right? Because then you end up, then it's not a very easy step to that nicotine, and then I can't overstate how addictive nicotine is. Okay? You vape for a couple of days and you're probably on nicotine, and you need it.
Small amounts.
And the tolerance level, by the way, keeps going up, right? That's why people continue to smoke more cigarettes. The more you vape or smoke, the more nicotine you actually need to get the same feeling that you would get when you originally started it. Many drugs are like that. Right?
Do you know any of the side effects, other than what you said?
I know one, popcorn lung.
Oh, really?
I'm not really sure what it is, but you know what
So
it is?
basically, around like the 1950s and 1960s, there were a bunch of cases of this. All these popcorn factory workers, they were ingesting, I want to say diasol or some deadly chemical that is allegedly found in some vapes, and basically they would ingest it through the popcorn, the buttery substance in popcorn, and it's found in most vape juices that are like a buttery kind of flavor, like a Fruit Loop kind of flavor, or like something buttery, and basically they'd ingest it, and then it would mess up their lungs, and they'd get like little holes in their lungs, and they die from it.
Oh, so no big deal then. Right?
There's not been one case found recently to do with that.
All right. Well, thank you so much for coming out today and talking about it. Thank you for tuning in to EWG Mercury.